Hey, it's the Red Rican here. And there's a big news with the elections last night. But before I get into that, I was about to start making my video when I saw that Tim Pool, it's my favorite YouTuber, just came out with a video talking about how he's recovering from COVID. And just want to give a shout out to him and hope he feels better. He's one of the people inspired me to, to try my hand at this, and I hope he feels better. I think it's been boring the last couple of days not having his commentary, and hope you feel better. So now on to what I was going to talk about. I'm going to talk about, which is last night's election. Last night election elections was a black eye for the Democrats. They, when it comes to races like even if they, let's say, for example, the New Jersey governor race, even if they end up winning, it was supposed to be a cakewalk for this guy. And if he wins, he, if he does anything, like for example, if he tries to push that mandate, come the next election cycle, he's toast. So, anyways. So I have a bunch of stories to talk about. I'm going to put, everybody knows what happened in Virginia. Well, if you don't know, it was a clean sweep for Republicans between the governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general in Virginia for Republicans, which is, like I said, it's a black eye to the Democrats. But and before I go into all of that, like I said, shout out to Tim Pool. I just saw this video. I just saw that the video came out. But here is my local politics, which, like I said, local politics. Shout out to Larry Kahn. His name doesn't show here. It shows as write-in. But he is one of the 4 elected members of the board of the school board, which is awesome. I'm gonna shout myself out on video and say I didn't think it would happen. I didn't, even though I saw that there was popularity for it, I thought as a write-in candidate it would be very I thought it would be damn near impossible. I just wanted the message to be heard. I figured even if it's close, the message would be heard from. You have to listen to the parents. You can't ignore us. And I think that's a shout out to, so Larry, he went and he put his message out there. He spoke to the parents, himself being a parent, and got himself a board seat. It's not official. I think it says here mail-in and absentee ballots have not been tallied. But he has a comfortable 120 something point lead. So vote lead. So like I said, local politics are important, and you need to go vote. Your vote matters more locally than it does in a national election, because guess what? I have I know 2 board members personally on my school board. So if I have an issue, guess what? I could bring them up now because I know them. And that's more, you have more access and more instant access, opposed to going to your, let's say Matt Cartwright is my elected member in the House, trying to speak to him to get something done. Then he has to go, it goes through too many heads and too many hands to get anything done. So seeing this, what happened to me locally with my school board, is a nice segue into what happened in Virginia. And it's in Virginia, parents champion victory, says your family values parents' rights after Democrats routed in statewide elections. So, because here, Virginia parents are claiming victory for family values and parental rights after Republicans swept stateside elections in Virginia on Tuesday. Republicans routed Democrats for Virginia governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general on Tuesday in an election favoring Democrats earlier this year. Local, and this is where it is, local outrage over education created a groundswell of anger against Democrats and the progressives school of curriculum ideas, policies such as student mask mandates, but there's also CRT. Um, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal that these people won, because it sends a message. It sends a message to the Democrats: you guys are going way too far. And that's the and here's the whole thing. They're gonna, you're gonna already see it. I've seen it on Twitter. I wish I would have saved it, but people talking about, oh, this is a win for white supremacy. This is a win for ignorance, white ignorance. Okay. But meanwhile, the story that they won't tell you, that's why I said it goes, not this story here, but it goes here. Democratic panic rises as Virginia exposes the party's failure. And like I said, one of the failures is in the messaging. They keep talking about whiteness, and this is white supremacy, ignorance, white ignorance. But meanwhile, they focus on Youngkin. But meanwhile, this is why, if the media wants to know why people watch YouTube for news and commentary, it's because what I'm about to show you, let's say CNN, they will give it a blip. Okay, in their whole coverage of the election, they'll give this a blip. Okay, it won't be big news. Here's the big news. Two things. Republican Winsome Sears, first Black woman elected to Virginia statewide office. The cavalry has arrived. Ugh. It goes here. Virginia Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears, a Republican, praised the opportunities afforded to her by the U.S. when she came to the country at just 6 years old as an immigrant from Jamaica, saying that she was living the American dream. And I heard some of the speech. My wife was watching the speech, and it was great. I mean, this story here, where she talks about how she arrived, is it here? I say to you, there's some who want to divide us, and we must not let that happen. They would like us to believe we were back in 1963. No, she just talked about how her father, when she came to this country, and why her father, when she asked her father why she wanted to come to this, why he wanted to come to this country, he said because of the opportunities that because the opportunities you could find in this country, because the jobs you could find in this country, something like that. That she said. Like I said, my wife was listening to it in the background while I was basically while I was doing my, reading a bunch of articles and going through a bunch of stories. I heard her in the background listening to her speech. So I highly recommend listening to it. She's very charismatic. She's funny. So, but this is not a story that you're going to hear because it doesn't fit into the narrative of the mainstream media. Because why? Because they want to paint the Republican Party as the party of racism. Okay, if it was true, this person wouldn't have been able to been elected if the party really stood for racism. Okay, you just wouldn't. I've spoken to white supremacists online, and it doesn't matter that I'm a libertarian, right-leaning Puerto Rican. The fact that I'm Puerto Rican is what matters to them more. And same thing here with the Democrats. It doesn't matter that a Black woman won for the first time in a statewide major office in Virginia. They don't care because it was a Republican. If they really cared about black rights and it being about and minority rights, it shouldn't matter whether the person's a Republican or a Democrat who won. They should be celebrating it. Hey, look, we made we made progress, but they don't want that. The only progress they want is their own. They don't care that a black person won. They don't care that in the third major seat, because she's the second major seat, the third major seat in Virginia was won by a Cuban American. Okay, so you have a Jamaican immigrant and a Cuban immigrant, okay, who won. It goes here, Jason Mayaris elected Virginia's first Latino attorney general. Okay, so here's another story. So if if the Democrats really cared about diversity and inclusion, when it came to all of this stuff, they would be praising the fact that a Latino won for the first time attorney general in Virginia, but they don't care. Same way as like you had Richard Grabel was the first gay director of the what was it, one of the intelligence services. I forget off the top of my head right now, but meanwhile they want to stress about Pete Buttigieg. Like it's no, because it's our guy, we're going to stress it. We're going to change the language because they're like, oh, he's the first cabinet openly gay cabinet member. But this is what they do. They play semantics with the language because this is not what they want. They don't want diversity. They want their diversity. They want diversity in skin color, but they don't want diversity of thought. That's what's going on. So that's why CNN and MSNBC, they won't talk about this. They'll talk about him and make it about white supremacy, the white patriarchy. But meanwhile, his number two is a black woman, a Jamaican immigrant. And Jamaican immigrant. She was born in Jamaica. She immigrated here when she was 6. But this is what they want in order to get you angry. That's what they want. They want you angry. Sorry, I forgot to turn off my ringer. They want to make you angry. They want to get you they want to talk about how Republicans, we're talking about issues that, they try to make it this is a funny thing. They'll talk about how CRT, they're not teaching it. Sometimes they'll even say, oh, we're not teaching, it's a college level thing. And then other people say, oh, CRT, it's not a real thing. It's just generating outrage. But meanwhile, you see the language changing when they're talking about equity and instead of equality, because they want to try to, one of the reasons why they won is because you had this guy, the Democrat running for governor, talking about, oh, the parents don't have a say, shouldn't have a say in what the kids learn. Are you serious? That's crazy. But this is in line with the panic that's going on in the Democratic Party right now, because in these places where they don't have a super majority, like New York, it's like, oh, New York, you got, my hometown, you guys are going to become the next California if you don't stop this. You see California is going to crap and you're voting in the same policies that make California suck. At least New Jersey here has some sense. It may not, we don't know yet. It goes here, that the race is too close to call. But with that being said, even that is the fact that it's close means that there's people here actually thinking. But in New York, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Last I saw was like 65 to 30, 65 to 35%. Now, granted, I think I don't think even a million people voted in New York, in a city of 8 million people. So in total, which is sad. It just goes to show the state of New York when it comes to paying attention to politics. Is like all they care is, presidential elections. So it's crazy, but that's what's going on. And like I said, when people go, oh, but this is, it's just in Virginia, we don't know. Well, I mean, here's a story in Texas where it goes here. Texas district, roughly 75% Hispanic, turns red for GOP. It goes here on Tuesday night in what might be a harbinger of things to come. The GOP turned a state house district that is roughly 75 Hispanic from blue to red as GOP House candidate Juan LeJuan won the seat in Texas's 108th House of Representatives district. Now, here's the thing. It goes here. The Republicans gives Republicans an early win in their drive to make new inroads in South Texas after President Joe Biden underperformed there last year. With all vote centers reporting Tuesday night, Lawan was leading Democrat Frank Ramirez 51 to 48. So anyways, I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. You're talking about when Democrats are selling blacks and Latinos that, there's thing that, wrote for them because Republicans are racist. Well, guess what? You push the illegal immigration issue thinking that it's a big win for all Latinos when a lot of us don't care. We want secure borders. We don't want illegals coming here across the border. We understand our hearts bleed for them that their countries suck, that they want to come here, and we get it. But let's say we don't want to have to, we don't want to have to compete for jobs with them, because that's the whole thing. We got poor people of our own in this country that we got to take care of. Now you bring in poor people from other countries. We can't house the poor of every country in our country, because then eventually, all we're going to be is a country of the poor. But anyways, so as we can see here, it changed. So it changed blue. So that's what's going on right now. The Democrats are losing the battle when it comes to the storyline, because as much as they're trying to make everything about white supremacy and whiteness, because they've embraced wokeness, if they keep embracing wokeness, keep trying to call Latinos Latinx, Latinx, whatever, however you want to, we don't want it. We don't want it. Okay, we don't want it. We don't need you to pander to us with your wokeness, because we don't like that. Just call us Latinos, call our Latinas, and call our transgender people whatever, whichever sex they want to be. But when you make, I thought I turned it off. When you make this about, when you put this wokeness into the elections, and you put this stuff that's just should stay on Twitter and shouldn't come into the real world, that's what's going on. People are mistaking Twitter for what people really want. And the people who are on Twitter are the loudest, most obnoxious people. They're not everyday citizens. Not everybody has a Twitter account. So when the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and these people are getting the grease, and you're changing stuff that people don't want changed. You're pushing stuff that people don't want, and you keep pushing it. And what's going to happen is, if you don't learn, come 2022, you're going to get routed. And that's what you know, this is a warning to the Democrats. Stop going so far left. Stop with the CRT. Stop trying to gaslight us and telling us that you're not trying to teach our kids CRT. Stop gaslighting us and telling us that you're not telling white kids to hate themselves because they're white, and telling Latino and Black kids that they're oppressed because of the white patriarchy, cis normative bullshit. Stop it. We don't want it. The only people who really want it are these white liberals, white educated college liberals. Okay. I'm a Latino college educated person. I don't want it. I don't want to be called that nonsense. I want to be called American, Puerto Rican, Latino, Hispanic, whatever, not Latinx. And I'm not in the minority in that. I'm in the majority, in the super majority of that. So, well, I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully this is good news, and of more to come in the future, especially next year. Hopefully it's a good sign for next year. I'm the Right Weekend. You can follow me on YouTube. I'm Rumble. If you would subscribe to one, please subscribe to the other. You can also interact with me on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, Clout Hub. And that being said, have a good one.